I hear people describe the new TLDs and the registry, registrar, resolution. Can you give me a little explanation about how this works?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of R's used. In fact, I think there's more R's than a pirate ship has. But there's registration and resolution are kind of the two key areas of the industry. The registration is the management of everything from starting to register the domain name to the management of that, setting up your whois information and basically buying the domain name. On the other side of that is the delivery of it, which is the DNS side, the resolution side. And that's basically so that when somebody types the domain name in their browser, that it converts into the IP address and makes it to the server that they're supposed to get to. And that's some critical infrastructure as well. So there's really two processes in the registration and resolution side as operating a registry. The registry is a central database that is really sort of the administrative area of the domain name. I'd equate it to, in the manufacturing chain, a manufacturer. Next down from that is the distributor or sales channel, which would be the registrars. And the registrars help, they have a connection back into the registry, and then they service their own customers, the registrants, who are the individual domain owners or companies, and they provide sort of that liaison role so that they can offer support, sales, and other critical services to the registrants. So the registrant is the individual domain owner. The registrar is the place that they manage their domain names or purchase their domain names or other services. And the registry is the central database where all of this happens.
Are you going to be supporting DNS SEC? And can you give me a little background about that?
Oh, absolutely. DNSSEC is what it's kind of talked about, is basically a secure way to sign a DNS zone without droning people to sleep with all the specific technical detail on that. What it entails is that there are some new higher tech ways that people divert traffic or otherwise create fraud or security issues on the web and through DNS by redirecting email or web. DNSSEC provides a bit more trust and security in that when you look up a IP address for a domain name, that when you type google.com, you get the exact google.com response. If you type sierraclub.eco, that by our use of DNSSEC, you will get the Sierra Club's website and not some fake site. So that's very important to make sure that the DNS and that process of resolution that I described earlier is a very secure process. And signing these zones using DNSSEC is going to be the way to help ensure that that's a quality experience.
Does Espresso support IPv6? And can you explain a little bit more about IPv6?
Certainly. Well, Espresso does, in fact, support IPv6. And what IPv6 is, there's a finite number of IP addresses out in the world, and we're rapidly using them up. With such wide adoption of internet use, everybody needs an IP address to get online. And there have been some things that have helped slow that burning through, but ultimately there is a finite number of those IP addresses available that are delegated out through IANN and the regional registries, such as ARIN, AF, the Afrinic, RIPE in Europe, and there's a variety of regional providers that will delegate these out, but the space is limited, and there will be a time when it is all but exhausted. Now, what's been done to address that is a sort of a new addressing scheme called IPv6, and it allows multitudes more IP addresses so that there is a higher amount of IP addresses available. But the notation is quite different. It's a bit more complex. It's represented a variety of different ways, ranging from hexadecimal to separated by colons, and it's something that's not intuitive to a person. So similar to how people use their speed dial or directories on their mobile phones, it's going to drive the need for domain names quite a bit more because of the complexity. It's already hard to remember, 1.2.3.4. It's easier to remember, mywebsite.eco, but when you get into these very, very long, complex numeric strings, it's going to mean that those domain names become that much more important because it helps convert from that complex string. It's much easier to remember healthyenvironment.eco against some long numeric string.
In terms of all these new TLDs, which ones do you think are going to be the best ones of this new round?
I'm very pleased with .eco. I think that's going to be a great new top-level domain. I like what they're doing. I like the basic mandate. It's a challenge for me. It's hard to find green services. Things are much more challenging to find environmentally conscious companies, although it's a growing trend. It is a big challenge to make sure that that infrastructure supports that mandate, but it's a very worthwhile thing to do. So I think there's a lot of value in that particular string. I like the geographic top-level domains. I'm very pleased with .nyc and other cities and what they have as promise for sort of a natural affinity for people. As much as the internet has gone global, it's almost as though the pendulum is swinging back the opposite direction to where people are starting to say, I can use this tool to go local. And so the geographic city names are going to be something that I think hold a lot of promise for people, kind of build the neighborhoods back up again. So that's something I'm excited about as well.